Good afternoon, Bay Nation. Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Bay. I'm your host, Mike Williams, and here's my co-host, Jeffrey.
Good afternoon.
Today, we're going to be going over your waiver wire selections for Week 8. And we're going to start at the running back position. At the top, J.K. Dobbins. I love J.K. Dobbins' talent. He has not had the opportunity to perform so far this year because Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards have both been pivotal points in the Ravens' backfield. But Mark Ingram is injured, and Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins got to play while the old man was away. So now we have J.K. Dobbins currently in the front seat. Now, Gus Edwards is going to get some work as well, so I think that they are both addable. But J.K. Dobbins is going to be valuable in the passing game, so he is the running back that I want. Next, we have Jordan Wilkins. I think Jordan Wilkins is an iffy add. So Jonathan Taylor got a little dinged up last week, but he hasn't been playing great in general. That being said, if this injury does linger, Jordan Wilkins could have an increased role. But they have a terrible matchup coming up, so temper your expectations. I wouldn't be putting in a high bid or wasting a lot of my fab or wasting a waiver priority on this player. Next, we have JaMycal Hasty. I think that JaMycal Hasty is the best of the men left. So we have Hasty and McKinnon both left in this backfield. That being said, I don't know how much they're going to be involving McKinnon. McKinnon was worked a lot at the beginning of the season. They're trying to rest him, but it's been a couple weeks, so maybe he gets more involved. Hasty, I think, is going to be a fine play this week, though. Some other people to mention, Damian Harris, I believe, should get a role in the Patriots' backfield. Has been playing pretty solid. Zach Moss is a solid add if you need a prospective running back that could possibly fall into the end zone. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the two running backs for Green Bay. Jamal Williams is not going to be able to play this week because he was in close contact with A.J. Dillon, who tested positive for COVID. So with both of the backups out in Green Bay, who's it going to be? Aaron Jones still has a chance to play this week, but he's not a lock. If you need somebody to play for Green Bay, we have Tyler Irving and Dexter Williams. If you haven't heard of them, it's okay. Up until like a week ago, I hadn't either. So I think that either of them could be prospective adds just in case Aaron Jones can't go. Now, let's move on to the wide receiver position. At the top of my list, I have Sterling Shepard. I believe he's going to be valuable this week and moving forward, so that's why he's on top of my list. He's a solid wide receiver, going to get you like 6 receptions and 50-plus yards, maybe a touchdown. I think that he's a viable starter. Next, considering the fact that Kenny Golladay is out, Marvin Jones is elevated. He is now going to be possibly viable. He hasn't been reliable even when Kenny Golladay was out earlier in the year. But I do think that slim pickings. So I think that Marvin Jones could be a solid add for you. A couple of wide receivers that may have already been picked up, but you should totally check out for. Corey Davis. He's been pretty solid. When he's played, it gets you at least 11 or more points. And that's pretty solid from a wide receiver. Also, Mike Williams. I know that he had a terrible game a couple weeks ago, but Mike Williams is still a viable wide receiver, and he has a good quarterback. Justin Herbert's been playing great. And Brandon Ayuk. I know that he's most likely owned in your league, but if he's not, you should totally grab him because they're running out of people to throw it to in San Francisco, especially with Kittle going down. It's been absolutely awful, so pick him up. And Deebo Samuel won't be playing this week. If you're looking to stash a couple people because you're on top, then Allen Lazard, I think, is a fine add. I don't know if he's going to be playing this week, but moving forward, I think he's going to be a viable start. Also, you can add Jalen Reagor. They're going to have to throw it to somebody in Philadelphia, and I think that he could be the benefactor of that. So I think he's a great add if you are looking past this week. Now, moving on to tight ends. At the top of my list, I have Eric Ebron. I think that he is going to be a solid option. The Steelers have a good offense, and I think that he is going to be utilized. I mean, this is the tight end position, guys. Tight ends aren't the focal point of their offense unless you're Travis Kelce or George Kittle. I'm looking for somebody to fall into the end zone, and Eric Ebron is a solid body that can fall into the end zone. Next, we have Trey Burton. Everybody knows Phillip Rivers loves throwing it to the tight end. Irv Smith Jr. is a solid add. I've been talking about him for a couple weeks. Going to get you about 4 receptions and 40 yards. Dallas Goedert and Jordan Reed, I think, are also both solid adds if they're out on your waiver wire. Jordan Reed is going to be not bad with Kittle out. When Kittle's not playing and Jordan Reed does play healthy, he's been pretty good. So I think that you can start him up as well. That being said, check out the injury report because there's a chance that he's not ready to go this week. He's coming off of IR. This man is always injured. Also, if you don't need a tight end for this week, check out Austin Hooper. I think that with Odell Beckham Jr. gone, I think that Austin Hooper is going to be more utilized in this offense. Baker Mayfield has been using his tight end recently. I have a quarterback that'd be solid start. Matthew Stafford actually had a good game. He's actually played not terrible the last couple weeks. 300 plus yards, that's not bad. So I think that Matthew Stafford could be a fine start against the Vikings. They're not as good as they used to be defensively, so I think that he can be fine. Moving on to defenses. I think the Texans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars is a solid add because their starting quarterback is going to be gone. So they're going to be using a backup. I think that that's going to be fine. J.J. Watt is going to be causing havoc on the offensive line, so he should get a few sacks. Next, we have the Patriots going against the Jets. So the Patriots should do some work. They didn't make any big moves during the trade deadline, so I do think that they could be viable. Up next, Washington. I think Washington going against the Giants should be fine. Daniel Jones loves to throw some picks, so he also loves to fumble the ball. The defensive line for Washington is actually really good. So I think that they should do some work against Daniel Jones and the 1-7, almost 2-6 Giants. Jeffrey, do you have anything for this game?
J.K. Dobbins has so much potential. I am pleased that he is finally getting more playing time. If this continues, he can be very good for your fantasy team. The talent is there. All he needs is the opportunity.
I don't know about you, but I have J.K. Dobbins on a few leagues, and I'm very pleased that he is finally starting to get some work. And if he actually gets this backfield and they start running the ball efficiently like they were last year, he could be very, very good for your team. I also really like Sterling Shepard. I think he's going to be a viable option moving forward. All right, I think that that's going to do it. Good luck, Bay Nation, on your waiver wire. You're going to do great. And don't forget, stay active. You can still come back. It doesn't matter what your record is. It matters what everyone else's record is. And people are going to stop caring. They're going to start losing interest and losing games. That is where you thrive and survive. All right, that's going to do it, Bay Nation. Good luck this week. Peace.